Okay, let's dive into something pretty radical. What if our buildings weren't just static objects of concrete and steel? What if they were actually living organisms? It's an idea that could completely flip the script on our cities, turning them from huge carbon problems into real climate solutions.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Just look around at the buildings that make up your world. What if every single one wasn't just a place to live or work, but a living, breathing part of the solution to climate change? It sounds a little like science fiction, I know, but the science is already here.
But first, before we get to the cool stuff, we have to really understand the scale of the problem we're up against. Our story starts with the, frankly, enormous environmental cost of how we build things right now. All that concrete, all that steel, it's trapping us in a cycle of emissions.
Get a load of this number, 38%. That is how much of all emissions in the EU come directly from the building sector. And that's the whole shebang, from making the materials to just heating and cooling the places we live and work in. It makes our buildings one of the single biggest climate change culprits out there.
And to bring that huge number down to a scale you can wrap your head around, check this out. A single average family home, built the old-fashioned way, has a carbon debt of about 120 tons of CO2. That's all the energy and emissions baked right into the materials before anyone even turns the key in the door. We are literally building our homes out of CO2. So, how in the world do we break that cycle? Well, we need a totally new way to build. And the answer might just come from one of nature's most incredible carbon-capturing plants, hemp. It's the secret ingredient for a revolutionary new material called Smaragd 42X.
Yeah, I know, that's a mouthful. So let's break it down. It's made from hemp, you can 3D print with it, which is going to completely change how fast and how creatively we can build. And that adaptive static matrix part, well, that basically means the material is smart. It can respond to stress, like from wind or even an earthquake, in real time. It's almost like a living skeleton.
And this table right here shows you just how huge of a leap this is. I mean, look at this. SMRAG24X is way stronger than high-grade concrete, but it weighs less than half as much. But the absolute game changer is that last row, the CO2 footprint. Concrete pumps out 900 kilos of CO2 for every ton made. SMRAG24X actually stores 120 kilos. It's not just a little better, it's a completely different way of thinking.
You know, being CO2 negative is already a pretty amazing superpower. But this material is just getting warmed up. Seriously, it has a whole list of abilities that sound like they were pulled straight out of a comic book.
This is where the story just goes to another level. This chart shows you the carbon balance for every cubic meter. Concrete, a massive emitter. Wood is better. It stores a bit of carbon. But SAMRGD42X, it's in a league of its own, actively sucking 420 kilograms of CO2 out of the air and locking it away for good.
And the superpowers just keep coming. It's got living bacteria mixed in that, if a crack forms, wake up and literally heal the building from the inside out. It's also unbelievably fire-resistant. Get this, in one test, they blasted the outside with fire at 960 degrees Celsius for an hour, and the inside stayed at a perfectly comfortable 25 degrees. Oh, and on top of all that, it's built to last for over 500 years, and it naturally shields you from electromagnetic signals.
Okay, now we get to what might be the most mind-blowing part of this whole story. We've been talking about a living building, right? But what happens when its very, very long life is finally over? This is where the whole idea of cradle to cradle becomes real. This one sentence just captures the entire philosophy perfectly. It's about completely reimagining what we think of as waste. Instead of a pile of rubble you have to haul to a landfill, you get something so much more valuable. So let's walk through this amazing cycle. It all starts with growing hemp, which pulls tons and tons of CO2 out of the atmosphere. That carbon then gets locked solid into the SMRAG42X material for centuries. But here's the magic trick. When the building is finally done, you just compost it. It breaks down into this incredibly rich, dark, fertile soil called Terra Preta 2.0. This stuff is like a super soil. It keeps all that carbon locked away forever, but it also helps the ground hold water, balances the pH, and becomes the perfect food for the next generation of plants.
Just let that sink in for a moment. It's a perfect regenerative loop. There's no waste. There's no demolition problem. The very material of our homes goes back to the earth to make it healthier, providing the foundation to grow the materials for the future. The house literally becomes the soil.
So what happens when we take this incredible idea and we scale it up?
When we stop thinking about just one building and start dreaming about entire cities built this way, the vision is, well, it's just breathtaking.
This is what the city of the future could look like. Towers that act like giant trees, sucking carbon out of the sky. Buildings that can heal their own cracks, maybe even generate their own electricity. A future where our cities are no longer part of the problem, but are an active, living part of the solution.
And that really leaves us with this one final question. For centuries, we've been building the problem, even if we didn't mean to. But with technologies like this, we now have a very clear choice. We can keep doing what we've always done, or we can start building structures that actively heal our planet. The only question is, which future are we going to build?